Majority of Steam's top-selling games have all been developed by large game studios or corporations. Well, this was until one solo indie developer did the impossible, publishing a game on Steam that would rank as the second top seller worldwide. This is how Lethal Company broke Steam. Run, wait. It all started on the 29th of November 2011, when a Roblox account by the name of Zeekerss would be created. This user would quickly find their passion for game design on the platform. It would only be early 2012 when Zeekerss would release their first game, Crazy Nodestar, featuring drivable cars, a city, and a few quests. It was nothing too crazy, but then again, we all have to start somewhere. 3 days later, Crazy Nodestar 2 released, adding more explosions and tools, though again, nothing much. It would be 1 month later when Zeekerss would release their first game that actually needed scripting, Dark Mansion, a basic horror game that included mazes, codes, and roleplay. But it's from here onwards that they will continue to develop games and work on their craft more seriously. Going on a few years later, Zeekerss had created a few notable titles, some including Lightbulb. With over 2.5 million visits, this game puts you in a maze-like complex, having to turn different lights on in order to see what was in the next room, and eventually trying to escape. And at the same time, there's a monster lurking around. Contrast, an adventure-like obstacle course that gained notoriety for the color scheme and mystery surrounding it. And then the most popular with 5 million visits, Silent Dark, the psychological thriller with aliens, nightmares, and horror all around. None of these games were insanely good, but they did pave the way and help Zeekerss work on their development style and aesthetic. This became quite clear when Zeekerss started to use the development software Unity, a platform with much more freedom and less limitations. And they got right to work, publishing their first Unity game on itch.io, Too Many Asteroids, a simple 2D space shooter with no real purpose. But hey, it probably helped Zeekerss learn some mechanics. A few years later, Zeekerss would work on their first actual project, A Dark Place to Hide, which was a creepy text-based game, and well, it would be scrapped. But 2 years later, after developing and learning even more, Zeekerss would release Welcome to the Dark Place on itch.io, a cryptic text-based game that would build off a Dark Place to Hide's concept. It didn't blow up or anything like that, but it definitely started to show Zeekerss' unique aesthetic and game design, which would ultimately help lay the foundation for the developer. Though meanwhile, Zeekerss was cooking up something much better. It Steals. First being released on itch.io, but quickly transitioning over to Steam for a small price of $7. In this game, you had to carefully collect all the orbs on the map whilst avoiding the monsters lurking around. The game quickly gained some notoriety for its unique aesthetic. It didn't feature a whole lot of content, well, aside from a few game modes, and it wasn't anything too special, but it definitely showed immense potential for the developer. And after It Steals came another small yet notable title, Dead Cedar. Another exploration game, but this time having you search the depths of an estate in order to find clues surrounding your father's disappearance. Oh, and did I mention, the deeper you go, the more monsters there are. Around this time, it was clear that Zeekerss was experimenting more so with player models and animations, and this came in handy for what was to come next. On the 20th of February 2022, Zeekerss would release The Upturned, a crazy game that had you doing many adventures and side quests within a hotel, having funny and creepy moments all around. This was Zeekerss' first game that actually got a decent player base. It wasn't famous or anything, but it did show how far Zeekerss' development skills have come, showcasing their unique game design and aesthetic for many horror fans to see. The way Zeekerss designed the characters, animated them, and how they were just coded in general was just so interesting and great to mess with. The jump scares, creatures, everything just fell into place and was immersive. The game did relatively well, but little would Zeekerss know how successful their next game would be. On the 9th of July 2022, Zeekerss would premiere the announcement trailer for Lethal Company. This showcased the game we know today, but in a different light. Instead of living in a ship, you and your crew live in a lift that's capable of descending large depths. I'm assuming that you'd still have to collect scraps, but just from caves, with the premise of the creatures probably being the same as well. And then, it would be around 1 year later on the 2nd of August 2023, that the official trailer would release, featuring the game as we know it today.
Hi. You'll have your very own ship, your very own crew.
This trailer would gain some traction, and ultimately many people were excited for the release. And then on October 23rd, Zeekerss will post a final teaser. 1 day later, Lethal Company released, and it blew up. 600, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 240,000 players. It only took 2 months of being out to become the second top seller on Steam globally. outselling games that were developed by large corporations and game studios, even outselling titles as large as Modern Warfare 3. And this was very impressive to say the least, as Zeekerss was just a solo indie developer, only a few years ago developing on Roblox. So, what made this game absolutely blow up? Well, the premise of the game itself was nothing too special, but the aesthetic and game design was what brought players in, as well as one massive feature that I'll come back to. Prior to Lethal Company, Zeekerss was most notably known for their game design, and to be honest, just everything. The furry made horror games feel brand new, and this was no different when it came to Lethal Company. After playing the game, you can't even really compare it to any other horror games.
It looks safe, I don't know.
Don't step in the web, do not step in the web, though.
Jake, look at that.
Yeah, I see it, bro.
Go
Finally, bro, you stepped in the web!
Imbecile! The eerie aesthetic, weird creatures, and the character movement all feels immersive and special in its own way. But let's not forget the key component that made Lethal Company explode. Proximity chat.
There's a boombot coming at him. There's a Roomba.
This feature made the gameplay hilarious, scary, and fun all at the same time. Zeekerss had put a lot of effort just into this one part, and it was worth it. Tens of thousands of players obviously wanted to experience this firsthand. Being able to talk to your crew one moment, then hear them scream from another room the next, is just indescribable with this feature. And the list of pros just goes on. The creatures being more scary, the game feeling more immersive, and much, much more. The game received 1,000 reviews already within a few days, and it would only take 2 months of being out to work its way up and become Steam's second top-selling game. Lethal Company even got on the news because the creator added something into the game because it was funny. And since the game is a top seller, I guess this is now newsworthy? As you know, all the large game studios and corporations generally take things very seriously, and more so focus on their payday. But Zeekerss just made the game how they saw fit, and wanted to give players a unique experience. And over to the negative side of things, it's hard for people to even dislike the game really, because in Lethal Company, the more bugs there are, the funnier it just is. And in addition, every update bad or good doesn't really matter, because 1, it'll either be really good, or 2, it'll be hilariously bad. But back to proximity chat for a moment, the feature that in my opinion puts this game together. Oh, what is that, bro?
Head crab.
Don't touch it, don't touch it.
Head crab.
Of course, along with Zeekerss' unique aesthetic. 3 years ago, Zeekerss posted both on Steam and Reddit a suggestion for the game Phasmophobia, recommending that the developers make the walkie-talkie an item and take full advantage of voice recognition. Zeekerss also went on to state, imagine if the game used voice recognition to record certain voice clips from a player, for example, detecting the word kill, and then played that clip back repeatedly through the walkie-talkie to other players at a later time. Imagine if a player started shouting kill, kill, kill when you know that player is dead. And well, Phasmophobia did change a bit, but today it is nothing compared to Lethal Company when it comes to voice recognition. Zeekerss also made it so that with Thunder Client you can use mods in the game, which makes everything that much better.
You dirty dragon eating little fucking spastic.
But overall, Zeekerss put an immense amount of time and effort into these audio features, and now it's one of the various things that makes the indie game stand out from the rest. It blew up, and I'm pretty sure the developer is now a multi-millionaire. But hey, that just means they can continue updating and making even more great things. That's all. Peace.